Okay, now we're going to work on inputting some information into our barbecue log. So we'll click on this to get it started. And yes, we want to use it. There's a couple ways to do this. Of course, you could go in and be inputting all this information right in the computer as you're doing your cooking. Or if you have an iPad, this orange part takes up pretty much the whole part of the iPad. There's a little bit of room down here for the keyboard to pop up to use it, but you could have your iPad out there using it. It can work, you can see here, on an iPhone, but boy, these screens get real tiny on an iPhone, and we have to monitor it and put it actually through 4 different pages. This is a page just for a picture, and then this is the cook time. And then to get back to the main screen, we have to get over here to the second screen of the iPhone. So if you were going to start a log, you'd hit New Log. If you were looking for a cook, you'd go in here to the Find, and then you could pick through previous categories here to find something. Like if you were looking for all your brisket cooks, you'd click Find and then go over to Meat and pick brisket. Now the worksheet, this is made to here in the computer to be using this. What I recommend that you do is you go ahead and print the worksheets, and you can see here we'll get this little thing that tells you you're going to print it in the next one. This is what it'll print out. The order that it is in on the sheet is the same order that you'll enter on the main screen. So it's going to go up and give me this, but let me cancel this because we're not going to do this. But on the main screen you would pick whatever date it is, and you can see here that today is the 14th, so I could pick the 14th. And then I'd go down to the cooker. Now I've put some cookers in here. If you want to edit and put your own cooker in here, you could go in here and edit, go all the way down, see here where the Bradley's on the end and the cursor's flashing. You'd want to hit the enter key, and then you could we're just going to put a homemade cooker, and then we'd hit OK, and you'll notice now when we go to cookers, homemade's in there. One of the things that's real important with these drop down menus is, just like on a backwoods cooker, if we're going to pick backwoods, if we type backwoods in all the time, and if one time we left one of the O's out or left the S off the end, when we'd go to find and search for any of these and we went and typed in backwoods, we'd only get the ones with the proper spelling, or if there was a space before it. So by using the drop down and using the edit menu, when you search for backwoods, or if you search for Traeger, you would always get exactly what you want. And you're going to notice these drop downs are everywhere, and the reason for the drop downs is just so that when you search in months and years to come, you're going to get all of your cooks to come back up in the search. And that's the reason you're using the barbecue log. So we used a Mac on this. Same thing with the cooker setup. You can have a blank drip pan zone. You notice we have the edit down here. So if you use a cooker that's got 4 racks, you might want to go in there and edit and have rack 1, rack 2, rack 3, extreme, so like that. And this one I had a blank drip pan, and the meat on this was pork. And you notice we have nothing in the cut of meat here. So let's go ahead and edit this right now. Remember, we have the cursor. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to put ribs, STL for St. Louis cut, and then we'll do that. If there's a grade, we can pick the grade on it. With pork, there normally isn't a grade, so we'll leave that. Purchased, where did you get it? Albertsons, Costly, Sam's. Once again, you can edit that. One of the places that I buy a lot of my ribs from is Restaurant Depot, and we always refer to that as the RD, so we're going to go ahead and put that in there. Then I'll go ahead and RD. If you're doing this in competition, you can go ahead and put the contest in. We do not have a drop-down menu on the contest because it changes every year. You know, it'd be the first annual, second annual, so you'd want to go ahead and put that in there. Rub is the same way. I recommend that you go and use the drop-down, or put same thing with injection. If you didn't use any, you could go ahead and edit it and put none, or you can just leave it blank. Preparation, this is another place that I could actually have put in that it was the St. Louis cut. Now, a lot of these you don't have to use. We have all of these in here just so that if you want to have a results on the bark, if you want to have a results on your moisture, real important for the competition cook. For backyard cooks like myself, not as important. Based or glazed, did you baste it with something? Same with the mop, the sauce. I happen to use Blues Hog on this, and you notice, what did I do here? See how I have Blue Hog? It's supposed to be Blues Hog. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let's fix that right in here. Not that it would matter, but if I fix it once, it'll always be fixed. So now I'll go back and repick it so that the spelling's correct. Cooking temp. And on the cooking temp, what you want to do is, this is what you planned on cooking it at. Same with the meat temp, kind of what you plan. Fuel type, pellets, charcoal sticks, others, whatever you want to do. This happened to be. Now this barbecue user, we're going to come back to this, but it is, if there's a field here that you feel is missing, you can make this your own personal field. Meat weight, this is kind of important, and we just have this in pounds a lot for the same reason. With ribs, I don't know if all of you are doing the same thing I do, but if I'm cooking 4 racks of ribs, I kind of like them to weigh the same. So a lot of times I'll buy a bunch of packets of ribs, open them all up, and then resort them by their weight. Price per pound is kind of a neat thing, just in case you're curious. This is real good if you bought some sale meat, and you can do that. Finishing, same thing. Cook time. This is where you would. This is not going to be something you're going to search. This is going to really go through and categorize kind of how your cook went. Like here I had 750. My target temp was 225. The actual temp was 370, which of course you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's high. Well, the reason was I just turned it down from high. So it just kind of gives me an idea. And here at 816, I is when I put the meat on, Cooker finally come down the temp. Now, how you do this, and if you want, you can put meat temp in here. You can put the ambient temp of the day, which this can be kind of handy, especially if you're really doing some low temperature smoking, and it's extreme temps, either high or low. It'll give you an idea maybe why your actual temp fluctuated. It doesn't matter how many of these entries you put in here. We have 10 here, which should be more than enough for any cook that you do. But it's just a real good place to put some notes. Barbecue chef, Manny Mo and Jack, of course. This is where you'd put your own name in there, or if you're a barbecue competition team, you would want to have the person who maybe cooks a brisket or cook the pork butt, so that and sometimes it's not always the same person at every comp, so it gives you an idea on that. Time on, time off, that's usually total time. Internal temp you're looking for, time wrapped, how long it rested. This little click box here is just a box in case you want to highlight one. So if you said, boy, that was a great one, you know, like anytime you got an RC or GC on your meets or you walked, you might want to click on that. Now, notes for next time. You know, this is a good place where you might put in there, left it on too long because company came a little bit overcooked, yada yada yada. And this is a procedure. This is where you can put the notes of what you did when you cooked it. Where you put the ribs on, foiled after 2 hours, mix the blues hogs with a little bit of the drippings from the foil, sprinkle a little bit of John Henry's Texas Tickler or whatever on it, and just so you can go through it. Here's where you can put a photo in if you want to, and you can see on a computer you would go ahead and insert the picture in there, and once you insert the picture, it will actually show that there's a picture here, and then if you want you can go to the big photo and you'd see it over here too. But once you get all of those done, you can see that you'll have your log then complete, and when you want to do a new log, you just click New Log and you get another one. And let's just I'm just going to do this here where I'm going to select different types of cookers. Right? Let's get 2 with a Memphis cooker in there. Let's get a Now the reason I'm doing this, you can see we have 6 logs now, but if I was wanting to find all the cooks I did on a Memphis, I'd do this. And you notice we have those 2 cooks I did on the Memphis then. Let's do the same thing with the Mac cook. Right? Now you notice that we have that first one that we went through on this video and did that we can see. Now a lot of people are like, well, okay, it found 1 of 6, so there was only 1 that was done with a Mac. But if you remember, if we came over here with the Memphis, you can see that it says there's 2, the same as if we go back here. And you'll see there's 1. Now, what if there's no information? Like if we hit find, zero. So the reason that you want to be able to do this all with that database is just so that you can define feature is going to be the big thing. So that a year or 2 years down the road you're going to say, oh, that those ribs that I did on Christmas was great. So you'd go over here and all you can remember is that it was pork, and it would bring up everything that was pork, and then you could go through them and do it. Now at the same time, let's say that you remembered, oh, I remember that it was ribs with a St. Louis cut, and I did cook it on the Mac, and then it would only find ribs with a Mac cooker and not anything that was cooked on the Mac that wasn't ribs, and enter, and it would come up. As you get more information in there, it becomes more powerful in doing what you do. I still just print the worksheets and take these out to the computer with me, the barbecue with me, and do that. It works out great. So we'll cancel on the printout. If this is confusing here, you can do it here on the computer also, so that it looks just like the worksheet that you just printed out and maybe brought in. You can go through and do it, and you'll see that everything works here just like it does on the main sheet. This probably, you can't use this really on an iPad or an iPhone, but on a computer I find this is a lot easier on that. Now when you get on the iPhone, you're going to have all these drop down menus, and these drop down menus are going to occupy a lot of screen real estate on your iPhone. When you click them up, they're not going to drop down like this, they're going to take up the whole space. So just something to know that you'll run into. The other thing that you have here is there are some preferences that you can do, and here in the layout you'll see it right up here with a drop down. There's a preference. Now see where it has Jim's barbecue competition log? You can change this any way that you want. You can see that you can go in here and change the name of it to just competition log if you wanted. And remember the barbecue user field, if you actually have a name for that, you could go in here and change that name to you know, whatever you would want. And we're just going to put name change on there right now. And you'll notice now that when we go back here, that remember that barbecue log, it went to name change, and if we go over here to the worksheet, now it just says competition log. So you can kind of personalize the software your own way that way too. But that's kind of an overview of everything that we have. So the only button I didn't go over was this find all, and you can see that because we had looked up the Mac and the ribs, we have 1 of 6. If I hit find all, it'll put them all back to where I can scroll through them. And the other thing is, if you want to delete a cook for some reason, like this one Memphis cook, I could just hit delete. It'll say, are you sure you want to do this? And then it'll take it out of there. And how do we... So that's kind of the overview, and when you're all done, you just hit this exit button and it exits out of the program. Okay, we've downloaded it, and you can see here we have Jim's Barbecue iLog zip. So let's go ahead and copy that somewhere where it makes a little bit more sense out of our download folder. So we'll right click it and hit copy. Then let's get over to our C drive, and what I would say to do is just create a folder that, you know, like BBQiLog like I have here. But for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and right click here, go down to new, we'll make a folder, and we'll call it the BBQ iLog. Then we're going to open that, right click and paste that zip file that we just copied from the other location, and from here let's go ahead and unzip it. We'll just extract it to right here. Takes just a moment here as it gets unzipped. When this is all done, we're going to have that Jim's Barbecue iLog folder right up here, and you'll notice it has all this stuff. This is the entire program, everything is in this folder. So if you took this folder and put it on a flash drive, you could run it in any PC that you wanted to, and everything that you want is in there. Now if we click on this, you'll notice that there is a Jim's Barbecue iLog. This is the application. And then we have the Barbecue iLog. This is the actual database right there. So that would be what you would send to your iPhone or your iPad. You could just email it to it, and then you could use it on those. But for running it on a PC, you would click on this iLog exe. And what you want to do here is, you see, if you're working on Windows 7, you want to go down to Properties. And one of the things that you need to do is click on the privilege level here and hit Run this program as administrator and hit OK. The other thing you might want to do while you're here is go ahead and hit Send to the desktop to create a shortcut. You see we created a little shortcut there that'll start it now. We can go ahead and close this. Now double clicking on that, We'll say, do we want to run it? We'll say, yeah, go ahead. The first time you start it might take a little bit longer than the next time. But you can see here now that we've got everything going where we've installed it and loaded it. To exit out of the program, you just hit exit. You're done. We'll come back and add a cook to it. Hello! Today we're going to download the BBQiLog and install it on our PCs. So we want to start by going up here to jimsbbq.com, and you want to scroll down on the page here, and you'll notice here it says BBQiLog page. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and if we get down here, we'll see where it says download the software. Now we're going to come to this pretty generic page. So if you have a Mac, you'd click on this Jim's BBQ iLog Mac. For PC users, you'd click on here. Now if you're going to use it on an iPad or an iPhone, don't worry, it's going to be whichever computer you're going to originally open it on, and then you will extract the file. So we're on a PC today, so we'll go ahead and click on this, and it'll say, do you want to open or save it? And we'll go ahead and save it. And then when it's downloaded here, we'll come back and open it.